things theology, all things theology. We chop it up properly, without an apology. Gotta give that theology to God, hollow be, cause this is how we do it at All Things Theology.
Yo, grace and peace, and welcome back to an episode of All Things Theology, where this is your host, K-Dub, and today I want to continue talking about the story surrounding Robert Morris. If you've been following this channel, I've been discussing the story, the implications of what that means for pastors and churches and Christians just in general. My goal is not to get into maybe some of the graphic details. There are stories who've gotten to some of those things, and it's just hard to read. But not to get into the salacious content, but my goal is to get into the practical implications of what this means. NBC News put out an article where they discuss, actually, guys, this story is a lot worse than maybe what we think, maybe what we even know. And I said from the beginning, I think there's going to become more news about this story that unfolds that unfortunately is going to make it worse. And so far, I mean, with this story that dropped today, let's go over this article today that was put out by NBC News. Check it out. Robert Morris, a pastor and the founder of Gateway Church, wanted to know what it is going to take to prevent the woman on the phone from going public with her accusation that he SA'd her as a child. He says, put a price on it, Morris said on September 22nd, 2005, according to a document that appears to be a transcript of a phone call. So allegedly, there is a phone call that NBC News was able to get. They was able to get the transcript of. It says the document was provided to NBC News by a former Gateway staff member. So whoever this is, the whistleblower, so to speak, gave this document to NBC News. Going on, it said, there's a quote, "It is not a small number. It seems that Cindy Clementshire was like, hey, it's going to be a lot of money. It's not small, right?" She responded according to the transcript, but she also says this, "Money doesn't make you happy, and I can understand that. So that is not what this is about." Morris again pressed her to name a figure. So she says, hey, it's not a small number, but it's ultimately not about money. Well, Morris comes back and asks her again, okay, what do you want though? What do you want? And she says $2 million. Clementshire said, the transcript shows. A moment later, Morris ended the conversation. Nearly 2 more decades would pass before Clementshire spoke publicly about the years of sexual abuse she says Morris inflicted on her in the 1980s, beginning when she was 12. In response to Clemenshire's account, first published on June 14th by the church watchdog site, the Wartburg Watch, Morris confessed in a statement to inappropriate sexual behavior. And now we actually know it's not just inappropriate sexual. I mean, it was SA, right? You SA this minor. Let's be real to what it is, because he tried to say it was a young woman. Wasn't a young woman. It was a child. Continue on with the article. It says Morris, who served on a former President Donald Trump's spiritual advisory board, resigned last week from Gateway. Should have been fired. The mega church in Southlake, Texas. He founded 24 years ago. By the way, Southlake is like 45 minutes from me, so this is why this story is close to my heart, so to speak. I know many people who have gone to Gateway and have left because of the myriads of false doctrine that have come out of that church. Preached by Robert Morris. Continue on with the article. It says NBC News previously reported on a series of emails between Clementshire and Morris sent from April to October 2005, in which she asked him to compensate her for her trauma. I mean, yeah, that would be the least thing you could do after you did something that heinous and vile to her, right? 23 years after you began destroying my life, I am still dealing with the pain and damage you caused. Clementshire, 35 at the time, wrote on September 20th, 2005, I want some type of restitution. Pray about it and call me. So here's a picture of Clementshire when she was 12 years old. It's the child on the left with her older sister who's on the right. And so 2 days later, Morris and his wife, Debbie Morris, called Clementshire. According to the transcript obtained by NBC News, Clementshire initially told NBC News last week that Morris hadn't called her in 2005, but after reviewing the transcript, she said she now remembered the conversation. NBC News has not heard the audio the document is based on and does not know who made the recording or produced the transcript. The document titled Transcription of Recorded Phone Conversation with Cindy Clemenshire. And guys, I think there's going to be much more that's come out about this, even more details about the call, maybe more details about the acts. I don't think this story is near over. Continue on, the transcript was provided to NBC News by a former member of Gateway's IT department. I don't know if they have his, details on Robert Morris's phone calls. Again, I don't know, right? So I don't want to read too much into this. It says the worker said he discovered the Microsoft Word document more than a decade ago. Wow. While transferring files from Morris' computer to a new laptop. The IT worker shared the transcript on the condition that he not be named. Yeah, obviously, right? I mean, there's going to probably be legal ramifications if that be the case. But yeah, he got this by transferring this information. Lo and behold, came upon a transcript. Now, I don't know if this document was saved by Morris, that he recorded it himself. Again, lots of questions, I'm sure, that may get answered, may not. It says the document sat for years on a shared server at Gateway that primarily held archival sermon notes and was accessible to members of Gateway's technology teams, the worker said. Wow, so apparently multiple people had access to this file. Metadata from the document shows it was created on October 19th, 2007, about 2 years after the call. Maybe they were trying to save face, and I don't know. At a time when Clemenshire said she and Morris were negotiating an apostle legal settlement that never materialized. So, yeah, I don't think she ever got any of the restitution she was asking for, or at least not to the degree. The files was created by someone who listed their title as administrator and company as Gateway Church. Has not been modified since the day it was created, according to its metadata. The IT worker said he remembered skimming the document when he discovered it. At the time, he connected to a story Morris frequently told from the pulpit about a long ago moral failure involving a consensual extramarital affair. The worker goes on to say, at the time I heard the original story, I believe that it was refreshing to hear the truth. The former employee said of Morris, appearing to be open about his past sins, now I feel foolish. Yeah, probably because in that document, it wasn't actually the details of, being a young, it was a child, right? And so a lot of people were, what makes this so bad is Morris led people to believe that this was a young woman, while he himself was a young man, right? And so you can lie by not telling all the truth as well, right? And so going on, Morris and his wife did not respond to messages requesting comment. Lawrence Swicegood, a Gateway spokesperson, said church leaders had not seen the transcript. Swicegood did not comment on the document's authenticity. It says, we take all of this extremely seriously, and abuse of any sort simply cannot be tolerated. He said in an email, Gateway Church has engaged outside counsel who is conducting an independent and comprehensive inquiry into this entire matter. One of the interesting things is that it's been reported that Cindy has contacted other elders about this matter, and she was essentially silenced about this. Very interesting. I think this is kind of a overview. Robert Morris confesses to inappropriate sexual behavior after Cindy Clemenshire accuses him of molesting her as a child in the 1980s. Morris resigns as senior pastor of Gateway Church. In secret recording, a Gateway elder says, accepting Morris' resignation was one of the most difficult decisions in my life. I would argue if we were letting the Bible be the standard, it would be real simple. Maybe hard to carry out, but real simple at the end of the day what you're to do. I would argue not to resign, but he would have to be qualified as disqualified, so to speak. Going on, emails reveals Clemenshire's attempt to seek restitution from Morris in 2005. So a lot of people are saying, why is she now speaking out after over 30 years of, this? Why is she now speaking out? Well, turns out she's tried to seek restitution. She's tried to come out about this long before. Going on with the article, in a statement, Clemenshire said that in 2005, after years of struggling with profound confusion about what Morris had done to her, she was finally beginning to understand that it was a crime. I was literally sick to my stomach and wanted to finally hold him accountable, Clement Shire said. Yeah, remember, she was 12 years old. She probably didn't know she was doing anything wrong, or he was doing anything wrong. She probably felt a lot of guilt herself initially and wrestled with that for a while. Going on, it said the call with Robert Morris had nothing to do with money. It was about my anger and my need to confront him so that he finally knew that I knew what he had done to me. The September 2005 call began with Morris notifying Clement Shire that his wife was also on the line, the transcript shows. Yeah, that's one of the interesting things about this is that his wife seems to be, that's Robert Morris's wife, Debbie, I believe, seems to be complicit in a lot of this as well, intentionally stuffing this story as well. Interesting. It says, okay, Morris then said, according to the transcript, tell us what you need to tell us. Clement Shire referred to her emails from that year telling Morris that she planned to go public with her story or seek criminal charges against him unless he paid for what he had done. Morris says, well, I don't think money is going to help you, according to the transcript. She said, who said it's going to help me? It is certainly helping you. Yeah, it's like, she's like, seems to be indicating me going this route is actually going to be the route that helps you. But Morris says, no, it is not. Who had by then had published his first book, The Blessed Life. It was on a path to become an elite and national figure among evangelicals. He says, what is helping me is that since this time I have tried to do the right thing. He means tried to do the right thing and tried to serve the Lord. Morris added that he and his wife Clement Shire want what's best for her. Clement Shire, now 54 and work as a real estate agent in Oklahoma, has said Morris was a family friend who had repeatedly essayed her in Oklahoma and Texas between December 1982 and March 1987. So over 4 years. During that period, Morris was in his 20s, married to Debbie, and working as a traveling evangelist and later as a pastor at Shady Grove Church near Dallas. Morris recounted on the call how he'd left the ministry and sought counseling in 1987 after Clement Shire's father confronted him and church leaders. This is actually not true. Justin Peters has documented from someone who was involved in the church that was not true. There's actually like newspaper clippings of Robert Morris still preaching and going about traveling, doing preaching ministry still in this time. So if you want further information just to show how that was not true, check out Justin Peters' video on that. He had like an hour and a half discussion with a gentleman getting into that too. Continuing with the article, Clement Shire told Morris he should have paid a steeper price. Yeah. 2 years out of the ministry, big deal, she said, according to the transcript. I just have a real problem that the fact that you have gone untouched by this. Yeah, that's exactly right. He got a slap on the hand. Really nothing happened to him. No justice. If she wasn't compensated for this manner, nothing happened to him. I mean, if you tell any predator, hey, sit down for 2 years or go to jail for the rest of your life, what do you think they're going to do? Of course they're going to sit down, you know. And what's sad about this is how many people knew about this. His wife, the elders there, other reputable, quote unquote, evangelical leaders at that time, and nobody had the gall to say, this is unacceptable and you will step down, or we will. Matter of fact, you should have gone to the police. That's not an option. I don't believe it's an option. As if we're gonna, you step down or you go to, no, you're gonna step down because we're going to go to the police. Morris later responded, maybe I wasn't asked to do enough, but I did everything I was asked to do. Yeah, of course he did. It was simple. Clement Shire described on the call watching interviews of people discussing essay of children and connecting those stories to her own experience with Morris, which she said helped her better understand what she'd been through. I just can't believe, she said, according to the transcript, how I have justified and made excuses. She asked Morris to imagine if this kind of thing had happened to his daughter, who was a teenager at the time of the call, is now a pastor at Gateway Church in Houston. I mean, that's a whole nother bag of problems right there. I think you would be horrified, Clement Shire said. At least I hope you would. Morris says, sure I would, according to the transcript. Clement Shire asked Morris what he would want to happen if he learned that a pastor in his church had committed a crime against his child years earlier. Would you not think they should pay, Clement Shire said, according to the transcript. It may not help you see that person go to prison. But don't you believe that they should pay for the crime done? Well, Morris responded, I don't know whether it would be my responsibility for them to pay for that crime done or not. Yeah, I mean, either you don't care for your daughter or you're trying to justify what you did. Yeah, the drunkard doesn't think drunkenness is that bad, right? When other people do it, right? Because it would condemn them. This is the same thing we have going on with this story. I really honestly feel like it is not fair, Clement Shire continued. It is not fair for every single thing that I've gone through and still going through, and for you to have no, I think they mean repercussions. Repercussions. He says, well, I've had a lot of repercussions over the years, Morris said, according to the transcript. Clement Shire shot back, nothing compared to mine. And that's a fact, obviously. See, it's like, man, he's trying to make himself the victim. I've had a lot of repercussions over the years. She also told him that if she pressed criminal charges or went public with the story, it would destroy everything you have. I just know I want to see you pay something, she said. Morris told Clement Shire, listen to this, it would be wrong for him to pay her to keep her from going public. In a follow-up email nearly 2 weeks later, Morris wrote that Clement Shire could be prosecuted if he paid her in response to her threat to go public. Eugene Volek, a professor at UCLA School of Law, told NBC News that given the seriousness of Clement Shire's allegations against Morris, she appeared to have a plausible claim to restitution, making it unlikely a court would have found her liable for blackmail. I am not trying to blackmail you, Clement Shire said on the call. I am not trying to say you pay me or this is what I'm going to do. He says, okay, Morris said. Do you want to put an amount on it then? Clement Shire resisted naming a dollar figure on the call, according to the transcript. She repeatedly came back to her sense of injustice at watching Morris become a wealthy and powerful church leader while she struggled. Yeah, it seems like throughout this call and just from what they're articulating it is, she would almost kind of get into money issues, but then at the same time get frustrated that he didn't actually pay for the injustice that was done to her. Continuing with the article, I just want to say Clement Shire said toward the end of the call, would people come to your church if they knew? What a question. I think we're seeing that now. Unfortunately, the answer is yes to some. The character of a pastor for many is irrelevant. Before finally naming a price, $2 million, which Clement Shire recently said she was never paid, Clement Shire returned to something that she said had been bothering her for years. In sermons, Morris had recently told a story of finally overcoming his sinful past of a young man after God spoke to him in a room 12 of Jake's Motel in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. But Clement Shire believes she was the one who was forced to repent by telling her father what happened in 1987. I honestly feel though you wouldn't have changed unless I would have told, she said on the call according to the transcript. You only changed because you had to. He says, I am grateful you told. I am grateful because God used that to do a work in me, needed to do. I am glad that you did. And so, yeah, that's the article there. Yeah, that's it. I'm very curious as to what you guys think about this. And, man, again, I am devastated by this because, again, this has the world looking at Christians saying, see, I told y'all they were just like us, right? Because many people don't take the character of a pastor serious. That there's been many comments on my past videos where, he apologized. He shouldn't step down. He even though there was no justice done, it doesn't matter. I mean, that's even after you skip over the fact that he's all the false doctrine he has spewed out of that church and have created false teachers. By created, I mean molded them like Mike Todd himself. And so the character of a pastor is important. If you actually look at the qualifications of an elder, before you even get to the giftedness of his ability to teach, the other qualifications have to do with their moral character. Because the pastor should not want to shame the great shepherd, the chief shepherd, right? Being a mini shepherd, so to speak, the one who watches over the soul of it. He should want to model Christ. Are pastors perfect? Absolutely not. Do they fall? Absolutely. But do they do what Robert Morris did? I don't believe so. And I believe if he was truly repentant, Morris, he could be accepted into the fold, but not as a pastor. I would not be able to trust myself if I was a pastor. I think that would be the right thing to do, to say, I blew it so badly. I have ruined my reputation in ministry, I am no longer above reproach. Therefore, I must leave the office of a pastor to someone else who is actually qualified. I think that's the biblical thing to do. Hopefully this video was helpful. I will try to do more updates on this story as more comes out, again, as I believe there will be. But hopefully it was helpful to you. To the next time, grace and peace. Yo, grace and peace. Thank you for watching another episode of All Things Theology. If you enjoyed what you heard today, go on and give me a like. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell. I promise to give you weekly lives, videos, interactions, exposing false teachers, sharing with you, the viewer, my theological beliefs, things about the culture, and the Bible. So if you're here for that, come on and join us. Also, if you would like to support this channel financially, you can do so by becoming a Patreon member or a YouTube member. Links are in the description below. You can see content before it drops. You can also have Q&A sessions with also other Patreon members, YouTube members as well. So if you would like that, hit the description link in below.